Okay, for the next talk, the next talk we have Dan Morrison of Blockworks, who is going to introduce us to a clock that took 2 years to make, which I believe was longer than anticipated.
Yes, it was, yes.
Warm welcome, please, Cuba.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Dan, as you've heard. I've come from a setup called Blockworks, which is based just down the valley in the magical land of Todmorden. It's an outfit I set up with my good buddy and design friend Andy Plant, who can't be here today. I mean, it's something we've both wanted to do for a long time, which is design sort of physical, functional products for the home or workplace, but mainly for the home. Just simple, everyday sort of gadgets that you use for normal jobs, like cooking your bread or calling your milk, or letting you know someone's at the door, or indeed telling the time, and but to do it in our own sort of quirky way. So to produce products, to do limited edition products that are kind of, so we had to sort of spend time designing something, getting it right, and then get some payback over a number of iterations of that, but not get into manufacturing. So we basically want to hand engineer things. So our first take, when we set out our first take at Strapline was our first strapline was Blockworks, domestic machines of pleasure and delight, which we were really pleased with at the time. I realised quite quickly they had other connotations. So hand-engineered functional sculpture. So that's kind of where we are. Functional sculpture, sculptural furniture. It's that kind of halfway house between sort of art and design. So that's kind of where we want to be, just doing stuff that is sort of unique and individual and adds a certain sort of extra level of fun and engagement and sort of quirkiness to the everyday stuff. So we've been asked today just to talk about the process of producing our first product. As has just been said, we set up Blockworks with very little money, or no money really, and so we had to earn our living as we've gone along. But we wanted to design something very quickly. We're both sort of fairly experienced at designing and making stuff. We thought we could make something really quickly, get it out to market, and start getting some income back, so we could ramp the whole thing up and start making a living from it all. But what happened in the end, just for various reasons, it just ended up taking over 2 years to make this first one product, which was initially extremely frustrating. But actually, quite after a while, we kind of relaxed into it and found it to be a really nice thing. It's once we kind of relaxed and I shredded on the Gantt charts and all that kind of thing, I felt it was just nice to be able to spend time on something, sort of elapsed time, to give you sort of chances to think things through and to mull things over and let things breathe a bit. So rather than rushing through, and this resulted in something, the product, our first product, which is many more layers than we first envisaged. So we're very sort of pleased with it, happy. It didn't take that long, although maybe our family is not quite so aligned with us on that one. But it's also allowed us to sort of bed in what we wanted to do with Blockworks and what our aesthetic was and what our approach to design and where we wanted to be in the market and all that kind of thing. Let me just, I'm going to talk today just about, we've been asked to talk today about the process of that design process of coming up with that first product. Just going to talk a bit about the materials and the sort of choices we made and the aesthetics as much as anything else, sort of not getting into the technicals of it. So let me introduce you to our clock, the first product. We've had other products since then that have only taken about weeks or months to produce, so it's not otherwise be fairly terminal business, I think. But here's this is Block 1, our first product. So ta-da! It's a clock. And it's a timer, so it's a bifunctional device. And it's the clock here at the top is the independent functions. The top is just a simple, it's a plug-in thing like all our things. The clock is powered by an electric motor, which is bolted to a clock gearbox. We buy these things as units, and they're designed to operate big town clocks, so big town hall clocks and towers and what have you. So they're designed to handle really big 3-foot arms. And so it's ridiculously overspec for what we're doing here, but it's very much the Blockworks aesthetic. But we like over-engineered stuff. We like stuff that is partly because it's sort of big and chunky. It's like it kind of gives a sense of, it makes something more lovable somehow. It's like a little baby rabbit or a baby deer. It has big ears and big eyes and big feet. And so something nice about big gears and big levers that are completely unnecessary, but sort of just add a certain something to it. and partly because it just makes something we know it's going to last forever. I think me and Andy have both worked on projects with all sorts of different descriptions over the years, and you throw yourself into something, you can deliver something on time, and then it does its job, and then it kind of evaporates quite quickly after that. You end up with just a few photographs or a magazine article or just a rumour. And so it's nice. We both wanted to produce stuff that would last for maybe, ideally for generations. That's kind of our goal, is to produce stuff that is cherished and passed down through the generations. I think it's maybe we're just getting a bit old and we kind of want a little bit of immortality, but nevertheless, it just seemed like a nice thing and something we both want to do. The other side of this, the other aspect of this clock is the timer. You can all see this more or less. The timer is operated by this brass knob at the bottom. And that, just simply by turning that, it turns a chain that you can see around the edge of the clock. And moving this brass sort of shark spin pointer around the edge. And you can line it up with a timing mark. It's marked all around the edge of the clock. Very simple thing. And then I'm going to set it for about 15 minutes or something like that now. And that'll tell me when it's time to get off. Releasing the knob, then just the second motor at the bottom of the clock just kicks in and drives this chain very, very slowly around the outside of the clock. And so over the next few minutes, this pointer will move up. It'll start to move this lever here, which just very simply pulls these antennae-like arms with the chimes attached wider and wider until when it's time for me to get off, they should ping together and sort of let out this lovely, beautiful, sort of transcendental ping like a very posh microwave. That's the functionality of the clock. It's very simple. Part of the simplicity has come from just spending time with it. So we come up with all sorts of fancy fangled sort of mechanisms and things that look great, but actually weren't necessary. So we don't work through and simplified and pay up with this. And it's all very overt. We like our mechanisms to be overt and to be out in the open, and that's part of the joy and the beauty of it for us. We like engineering. I'm going to talk about materials, as I said. So I'm going to start at the front of the clock. These hands, sorry, the time isn't right. I haven't got a watch on it now, as I said it before, so you just plugged it in. But that's, it is working. The hands are made out of brass. We like to use brass and bronze. It's basically, this material has been around for a very long time. It's an engineering material, so it's used for anything that needs things to slip over. It's a sort of kind of slippy, hard-wearing material. So bushes, things that rotate, just like a bearing material. So we like to use brass for that reason, and so we use it where we need it. We also use it because it's a decorative material as well, so you get brass and bronze, statues and ornaments and things. It's a beautiful material, it's got a lovely warm colour to it. So we sort of like to use a sort of smattering of brass, both decorative and functional. But try not to use too much brass. I mean, it's a very thin line, you cross the line and suddenly it becomes really brash and blingy and just a bit too fancy. So we're constantly putting brass things on and thinking, oh, too much of it gets a bit steampunk or a bit retro or something. So you take it off. So we try to get the right amount for our taste. It's all about our taste, of course. So that's the brass. The whole clock is built on. Sort of got a picture. That's the top of the clock. So you can see the chain there. And these are the symbols. There's a view you can't get from back there. So this is the back of the clock the whole clock is based on a stainless steel 6mm stainless steel polished backbone, which is this sheet here. And that's a shape we draw up in a CAD package and email off to some laser cutting firm down in Barnsley. They send back these shapes which are always, it's just great getting laser cut things, having spent many years hand making things, because the whole thing just line up, they really line up. So you just get these things back, we weld that plate onto a plate here at the bottom, and that forms a really rigid structure that everything else can be bolted on. You can see here that's the clock motor, that's the back of the electric clock motor. There's another motor embedded in there, and this motor mechanism. And these gears you can see from the back of the clock like the chain. So very simple stuff really, but it's about the design. So that's the Barnsley lot also laser etch it for us, so we kind of get both things done at once and then we finish it off. Coming on to the next material, aluminium. We were originally going to make the front of this clock out of sheet aluminium, so just 3-4mm thick sheet, hand form it, nice in the way that old custom cars and things have been made. We spent a bit of time with that, but it kind of, for various reasons, we decided we weren't going to quite do what we needed to do. We weren't getting. It sounded a bit tinny when you tapped it, which is fine when you make it a lightweight thing like a vehicle, but not great when you want something to be sat on your living room shelf forever. So we wanted something. So in the end, we opted to get cast aluminium. And casting One of the reasons was that casting is just a fantastic process. It's been around ever since human beings first kind of started setting fire to things, and some cooking things and burning things, and you just basically you get this pot, you stick some metal or some metal ore in it, you heat it all up to its molten, you make a shape in the sand or the clay or whatever, you pour your metal in, then when it's cooled down you break it up and you get a lovely shape out. Very simple. It's been around for tens of hundreds of thousands of years. I don't know how long that is. And essentially the process is exactly the same today. So the process that we used for this was green sand moulding, which is just basically make a pattern out of wood, you put it in a box, you cover it with sand or sand clay mix, you pat it down hard, turn it upside down, pull the wood pattern out again and fill that with metal essentially. And it is exactly the same way that the human beings did it many, many years ago. We don't do that bit ourselves. We wanted to start casting things, but it's a bit of a set-up operation and cost. So we've been using a firm down in Barnsley, not in Barnsley, in Brighouse, White's foundry, who've kind of been fantastic with us and been very patient, I think slightly bemused and amused by us. So we spent a lot of time with them and they've taught us all the things we needed to sort of understand about making a pattern right to get our shape. So with their help we sort of controlled the shape, so we'd make the main pattern and they'd take that and convert that into something that they could use for casting. What we found with the castings when they got back, all the pictures of that, get these fantastic things back. It's so fundamental. They look like they've been dug out of the earth or born out of a volcano, which essentially they have, or sort of kippers lined up on a harbour or something. There's something really earthy about them. We take those castings and just clean them up. So we clean them up, drill them out, cut out the bits we need to cut out, put a thread in any holes that we need to put a thread in, and then we polish them to this sort of finish. What we found when we polished them were these, I'm not sure if you can see them, but little speckles all over the surface that the polishing just wouldn't remove. And so what we didn't realise at the time, what we didn't understand, was that that is very much part of that casting method. So we spent quite a lot of time with the foundry, and it was nothing to do with the quality of the casting, it was just, we spent a lot of time with the guys down there to try to find a process that would get rid of those so we could get a perfect polished surface. But by different combinations, different alloys, and different additives, and casting it upside down so the bubbles. It's basically the bubbles when the metal's heated up, you get these bubbles formed in the mix, and then when you put it into the mould, it cools down, the bubbles rise to the surface, and you get these little speckles all over the top. So they tried all sorts of things, including turning the whole thing upside down, and so the bubbles would rise to the inside, not the outside. But we never really got rid of them, and actually we realised quite quickly that we like the bubbles, we like the imperfections. It's one of those situations where a bad thing, an unexpected thing, becomes a really good thing. We found that by leaving them there and then polishing over the top of it, it gives a sense of a little friend here having had a bit of a story to tell, having been around a bit, it's sort of been cared for and cherished, but it's come through. It's got its own history, its own sense of I've been around and I've seen a bit, and we like that. It's sort of without sort of like an antique or anything. It just had that sort of timeless quality. A lot of what we want to produce design-wise is products that are not so contemporary, or you can't really pin them down to any particular time in the past. And so we sort of like to, we aim for our products to be sort of timeless in the sense it could come from any time in the past, or the future, or another civilization, or in fact another galaxy. It's kind of what we're aiming for. So these things became really, good. Like it's like the old thing that a bug, becomes a feature, doesn't it? It's that sort of thing. And if you've got time, another good thing about having the time with this product was that we could allow that sort of process to go through, and it became, we learned to love our bubbles. During the whole course of this learning about casting and developing, we went through lots of different patterns, wooden shaped patterns, and we found every time we made one, we made it more and more voluptuous. Initially it was going to be very gently curved. The more we did it, the more big and rounded and bulbous it became, until we got to this point where it's sort of fairly curvy, quite a sort of sexy shape to it. And then when we bolted down the front of the clock, the back of the clock was originally going to be flat, so we thought actually it would be great to pin the same shape on the back, and you instantly get, it changes the nature of it, it becomes this solid sort of egg, or solid pebble, and it completely changed the way we were thinking about the clock. And also the chain was going to be around the outside of the clock, so it's going to be sort of proud of the surface. But we thought, now wouldn't it be nice if it was sort of embedded into the clock, so it became more like it worn itself into this pebble over sort of millennia, slowly moving like a glacier, grinding itself into the valley. So that's another sort of change that kind of happened as we were working through some of the technical stuff. Coming down the clock, at the bottom we now had quite a heavy clock at the top, because originally it was going to be one-sided, thin aluminium, and then we've now got two-sided. It's quite thick casting, it's quite heavy. The whole thing weighs 15, 20 kilos or something, so it's reassuringly heavy. So we wanted, so we need to make it at the base. So we were going to have legs or something like that, but we found that the duct's supposed to be way too wide to keep it steady, and that just comes impractical. So we thought we need something heavy. So we struck upon the idea of using concrete. And it's very similar to the idea of the casting aluminium for us, that timeless thing. Because concrete, I think, was first invented by the Romans. I stand to be corrected. I think so. It's been around for a couple of thousand years at least. Anyway, it's still widely used in building projects, around the globe now. And it's also used as a design element, that it's used by architects and designers as a contemporary material for its own beauty. So for us it seemed perfect. Also, on top of that, it's a very cheap and easy thing to do, so we could experiment with. You just get a bag of cement, a bag of sand, or different types of sand, a bit of water, a mould, and you get and you can play around with the mixes, the combinations of the additives, the pigments, the different sorts of fibre you put in it, and then the finishes. You can finish. Concrete's fantastic. You can finish it like a granite, or like a marble, or you can. What we've opted for in the end, after much experimentation, is more of a. Oh, there's Andy, by the way. So yeah, it's Andy that's not here today. That's me. Andy always gets me to sit down in photographs. He's a little bit touchy about his. So these are sort of, we did loads and loads of these castings, trying different pigments and mixes and things like that. And we initially sort of highly polished them, but in the end we gravitated towards much more of a sort of a rough hewn look, a sort of like an igneous rock, like a sort of volcanic pumice stone kind of look. That's just our taste, really. So that's something I've got a picture of. So that's the kind of mould we made. That's one of the early ones, just made out of a hot vinyl, like a rubbery solution. You just heat it up, it melts. You pour it on top of a wooden mould again, a wooden pattern, and you get a shape. Let it cool, and then you put this concrete in, leave it to set for a day or two, and then pull it out and treat and finish it. It's a very simple process, and like I say, very cheap to do, and it's quite a lot of fun, and they get really mucky doing it. I think I'm probably out of time. Yeah, although that doesn't how I am. How far have we got? Time, is it? Okay, just finish off quickly, just so you don't completely write us off as a pair of sort of old world throwbacks. We've just designed our own custom plug. We've just got these bits a couple of weeks ago back from the 3D printers. So we've got 3D printed bits. This is a ceramic material, glazed ceramic, and actually ironically it's going to end up being almost looking more handmade than anything else we made. There's some really lovely quality to it that we'll for sure be using again and again and again. So I think that's probably enough for now. Thank you very much for listening. Any questions, I think probably just come and grab me afterwards, or I'll be around all weekend, so they're happy to talk about it, as you can probably see. Thank you very much. Oh yes, see that. But it's opens and opens. I think I must have set the time wrong. I think I did.